Hey, old dogs, I just wanted to update you on our fundraiser here for Child Hope International. We are so close to our target. We're at $1675. Okay, it's only $825 away from our goal of $2,500. Now that's $825. We could do that with 33 people at $25 each. It's nothing. We're so close. So I am extending our deadline goal of the 15th, but hey, I'm going to extend it to the 22nd. We still have enough time to be able to get these funds over there that they can have a special Christmas. So, hey, if you guys can pitch in just $25, 33 of you, we could do this. So I'm just hoping and praying that we can send them that $2,500 so they can have that special holiday time together. Thank you so much, and God bless. Hello, old dogs. This is your host and top dog, Bill Manassero. I hope you're having a blessed holiday and are getting ready for an amazing new year. Today's show is a special rebroadcast of one of our most popular episodes. I'm introducing the show under the banner Best of Old Dogs REI Network Podcast. Well, enjoy.
This episode of the Old Dogs REI Network is brought to you by Mino Studio. Welcome to the Old Dogs REI Network, where cash flow is king. Real estate investing, the means, so you can enjoy your retirement dreams. This is the show where we cut right to the chase. No sales pitch, no long monologues, just simple how-to real estate investing advice, so you can earn the passive income you need to enjoy your retirement today. And now, your host and chief old dog, Bill Manassero.
Hello, old dogs, and welcome to
Fun Facts Friday.
This is our once a week, only on Friday show, where we have special episodes not featuring guests, where I will share tricks, tips, terminology, and techniques that will help skyrocket you to real estate investing success. Today's topic is how to become a real estate investor for only $500. That's right. But before we get started, on Fridays, I always like to touch base with you guys and see how you're doing. I'm just totally digging talking to you guys. I've been talking a lot to folks that are listeners and investors. Always, not only am I finding out some great things that are happening in what you guys are doing real estate wise, but just meeting some very nice people and some folks that just also share some great ideas with me and things that I didn't think of or didn't know about. So I am totally enjoying this. And if you guys want to write me or schedule a call, I just would invite you to do that. I'd love to talk to you anytime. Ask questions if you want, or if you want to, share with me things that are going on with you. That's great too. I just really think that that's important, in this process, because usually it's just a one-way deal, right? I'm talking, you guys are listening, but it's really neat when I can, talk back and forth. I meet people for coffee and lunch and different things too, if you happen to be in the Southern California area too. So just sending that out there. I can't get too technical on social media. I'm still trying to figure out. Some people say, "Oh, I'll write you through Instagram," and I go, "Yeah, I don't really know how to write people through Instagram." I mean, I know that there's kind of like a communication thing there, and there's like stories and stuff, but I don't know. When it comes to social media, Facebook included, I'm not real good. So, hey, send me an email. That's probably the best way, right? Also, just to update you and stuff, we're in the process of sort of reevaluating our 3 target markets. As you know, we are still in hunt for apartments, 100 plus, and we're also looking to partner with people and getting creative there, looking at off-market stuff, making offers, and not giving it up. But one of the things we're doing is actually reassessing our 3 target markets. So that is a sort of an extensive process that we're doing right now, where we're looking at population growth, the business growth, the unemployment, all the numbers that you look at when you try to pick out an emerging market. We are seeing some shifts, and some of the ones that we thought were hot have kind of cooled off, and others look real promising. So I will share that information as we do get that, and just again, refining what we do and trying to stay, focused as best we can in the best markets. I always like to give a little tip here too before we get started. One thing, I think I shared it with you a while back. I said, hey, I'm going to be looking at agencies, different organizations that are looking for to place people that are in their care. Usually there's a caseworker involved, and usually it can be any number of situations, but there are a ton of agencies, and they are usually on the local level. Nonprofits, sometimes they're even affiliated with the city that you're in or the county that you're in. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys are familiar with Section 8. Well, Section 8 is for some people love it, some people don't love it. I've had a lot of Section 8, and I totally don't want to touch it anymore. And part of it was not so much there were some issues. The inspections were really tough. Every time they would have an inspection, they would find things that I couldn't even believe cost us as much as a turnover, for many of these inspections. It was kind of crazy. And then I got Section 8 people that just trashed the properties. So that was kind of a big turnoff. But so I wasn't real excited about this agency stuff until I started doing research on it. And I was looking initially in Memphis to do this. And now I've ended up doing it mostly in Indianapolis. But it is great. There are some agencies out there, and it's kind of like Section 8. It's kind of got the positive stuff of Section 8, but without all the other negative stuff. But generally, what you're talking about is somebody that has a caseworker. They could be a special needs individual, someone that could maybe be a high-functioning autistic person or handicapped in some way. They could also be somebody who is in recovery. There are people that for example, that maybe they're a battered wife, or and they're actually trying to get their life and restart again in a new city, and there are all kinds of some people that have come out of prison. There are a lot of different types of individuals out there that go through some of these agencies, and a lot of them specialize, of course, in a particular area. But what I'm finding is that they are just wonderful to work with. They, especially when you've got them where they really care about their clients, and they'll find a good place for them, and they will follow up with them, make sure they're okay, and they'll check on them. And the best little surprise there on top, so the icing on the cake here is that the agencies generally will pay their rent, and they pay higher than market rent in most cases. Kind of like Section 8, a similar type of thing where, and they will commit to 12 months, 18 months of handling that person's rent, and it's like clockwork. So it can be a really nice tenant, a really nice situation where you have people that are helping you to provide a good experience in the community. So I think that's something you might want to look into, and in your area start looking up agencies, different types of agencies, and you can type in different things. You can type in handicap, blind, different keywords, and they will point you to different agencies. So just a little tip for you there, that if you're looking to fill some vacancies, that they can be excellent tenants. Okay, on to our subject: how to become a real estate investor for only $500. Now, I know that this is kind of one of those hooky titles, right? But the reality is, I get a lot of calls from people, and I get letters, and I get emails. I don't get letters. I don't think anyone gets letters anymore. But anyway, I'll get emails or even texts and things from people asking, well, how much do I need to get started in real estate investing? This is a question I've answered on Quora a lot, because as you guys know from the Ask Bill segments, that has been a question that I've received. And really the best answer is that it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can get started with absolutely nothing, and you could become a real estate investor without putting a penny out. A lot of people say, well, that's not realistic. And I've seen it. I've seen folks and talked to folks that have started with literally nothing, and I'm going to share some of those situations as well as getting into real estate investing at a very low amount. So just I'm going to touch on some of these things. I thought that'd be interesting for you, but also encouraging for you too, because I think if you realize that a lot of people are always kind of looking for something to be their excuse, and I was one of the worst of those. I didn't want to get involved because I didn't have the money to do it, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, I got this inheritance check, and I was like, okay, I have no excuses now. I got to move on it. And so, but it doesn't have to be an inheritance check. Like I said, as I'm going into this today, you'll see that there are many ways to get involved and get started, especially where you don't need that much and or any at all. So let's say, for example, I want to get involved in real estate investing. I start doing some research. I'm looking around and looking for people that maybe have a house that they want to get rid of. Those signs you've seen around. We buy ugly houses. That's kind of that whole idea is that somebody has a house they just want to get rid of for some reason or another, and you as the sort of the middle person can find that person. And basically, you get a contract assigned to you, right? Assign a contract to that deal, and you find an investor who wants to buy the house, okay? And you make your money on the markup, the difference between. So you find somebody, they want to get rid of a house for $100,000. You find an investor that'll pay $150,000, and so you get the $50,000, and that's what's normally called wholesaling, and it's still a very popular thing that a lot of people do. And it's a way somebody can get involved with literally no money at all. Now, I know that there are fees involved, permits and things that you have to, or city fees that you have to pay on that transaction. But maybe I've heard it's like $100 or maybe even less depending on the city and where you're at. But and those of you that are wholesalers listening, you're probably saying, Bill, you don't know what you're talking about. I'll probably get emails from people, but that's like one of the easiest way I've heard so many people get started is through wholesaling. Also, you can have a situation where maybe you find a property that you want to buy. Again, you don't have the money, so you ask the seller, are they willing to finance it and to carry back 100% of this purchase price? So that what you do is you just literally, you take on the property, you get the deed, you start paying them. You just start making payments to them for a fixed period of time. Maybe it's 3 years or 5 years. And during that time, you're fixing this place up, you're getting it ready, and then you go for a major refi, you pay back the loan that the guy gave you because the property now is worth a lot more. So you've got an improved property. You can it's also sort of the BRRRR approach that is talked a lot about on Bigger Pockets and other places. So you can get into something just by getting a seller that's willing to work with you and sort of carry the paper. You don't have to. Maybe you might have to pay some fees and escrow, closing costs, things of that nature, but it's pretty minuscule. There's other examples of things that where you can also get involved where there's not a lot of cost. There's like some creative ways too that I think are kind of neat out there. And I just picked $500 as sort of a workable amount that a person realistically could become a real estate investor for $500. And I would say, or less, or not at all. Sometimes people are just going to use that money to buy business cards, set up a website. You call yourself a real estate investor, but really you're not investing yet. Okay. What really makes you an investor is that somebody that literally buys something or purchases a property or some kind of real estate investment with their own funds, and they get a return. If they're a good investor, of course, they're getting a good return on it. I'd say that if let's say somebody came to me with $500 to invest, that I could I could show you a number of different ways that you could take those funds and actually, invest in real estate. And there are multiple things that you could do. In fact, it was really interesting because this reminds me a lot too, because I have had people that have come to me and said, I have this money, how would I invest it? With my own kids. And when we were in Haiti, we also used to do this too. We had a vocational training program we called the Transition Program, because in Haiti, there's this huge unemployment. I think when we first got there, it was something like 80% unemployment, which is crazy. And I don't think that that's accurate. I think people are surviving by selling things on the streets, and of course, it's not reported anywhere. So, but generally, it's just really tough to get a job. Even if you have multiple college degrees, there's no guarantee you'll be able to find work. And, you're going to have to learn to be able to survive. And generally that means setting up your own kind of business or selling something, services, skills, a product that you can buy at a cheaper price, maybe at the Dominican or wherever it is, and sell it in Haiti. With our kids, not only my personal kids, but the kids in our orphanage too, we wanted them to be able to not just survive, but we wanted them to thrive. So we wanted to teach them business skills and ways to grow a business, not just get enough money to eat that day, but to be able to know how to invest it and to grow the business and to expand your business and so forth. So we established sort of these business incubators that we had in various different businesses: jewelry making, baking, welding, furniture making, silk screening, sewing, and technology. With our technology area, we taught people Microsoft Office skills and web design and even internet commerce. So, we were big advocates of trying to teach people to survive on their own. Not everybody has the skills necessarily to be a good business person, but you can learn the basic components to be able to know how to, to invest in your business, that it will grow and that you can keep reinvesting in and setting money aside to save and do all those aspects. And one of the things I would teach the kids in classes that we would have is I'd give them $5, and I said, okay, I want you to come back to me the next day, and I want my $5 back, and I want to see how much you made for yourself. And the kids were always really excited for this exercise, very competitive. They, just kind of jumped out of the class and were ready to sort of go make a killing here with their $5. And it was just really fun to see what the kids would do. And sort of the most common thing a kid would do is, maybe buy a box of brownie mix or cookie mix and sell baked goods. And, they could, sometimes they make $10, $20, that's not too bad. You have to get sometimes the eggs, oil, or whatever is involved. And, but that, it's like a 200, 400% profit. And some would make lemonade. Some would buy like clothing and resell it, or soda, things like that. Or some would make crafts and sell those. So it was a good exercise. We got, and allowed us kind of throughout the years. We talked about examples of, well, what did you do with your money? What did you do with your profit? And what really is profit? What amount did you need to set aside to purchase more products so you could keep perpetuating the business? And how much could you actually take for yourself? And so, there are a lot of things involved in it, but the exercise was basically to explain just basic business fundamentals and economic principles as well. And the whole idea was to teach them enough so they could actually enter the workforce. Maybe if they can't work for someone else, or even if they work for somebody else, they'd understand the components of business. If they launched their own business, they would know how to run that business. If they work for somebody else, they could appreciate the challenges that owner of that business would have. And why am I sharing this? Because we're talking about, again, this $500 thing. As I kind of look at that, if I say to you, hey, okay, this is my business challenge to you. Instead of giving you $5 here, let's say you take $500. And what can you do with that $500 to create a real estate investing business? Okay. Everything. And then what I would say is, okay, it's not going to happen in 24 hours, but it may take a little bit longer. But let's say somebody comes to me and says, hey, Bill, okay, this is it. I took your challenge. Okay. I took that $500 challenge, And this is what I did with the 500. And this maybe somebody coming to me 5 years later from this podcast, who knows, that comes back and says, I took that 500 and I invested it. And now I have 1,000 apartment building. It's worth $500 million or whatever they might do. And I would love to hear the story step by step. And this is on my show. I mean, this is kind of my show, is I'm always asking people that are guests, how did you do it? How did you grow, this, starting with nothing up to this huge, little real estate empire of yours? That's kind of how I would recommend somebody to look at real estate investing. I mean, one of the common questions I get on Quora is, hey, can a teenager get involved in real estate investing? And sure enough, I mean, I have heard, and I usually refer them to different people, the kids that have actually done this and started off, and their parents, of course, helped them out, but they did everything on their own, and they actually grew a real estate business, as a teenager, working part-time from home. So yeah, it can happen. I'm just going to throw out ideas here, and this is part of this, is that if I gave you $500, would you be able to take that 500 and turn it into something more as a real estate investor, working only as a real estate investor? Okay. Here are some of the things that a person can do. And I'm going to let you know right up front, this episode is going to have more links than almost any of my other episodes, because there are a lot of guests that I've had that really have started with almost nothing. Plus, we have a lot of content on our website that'll also help you to actually start with less to grow more. And here's some of the ideas, some of the things. I talked about real estate auctions once, and Bid for Assets, one of my favorite little sites you go to, where they have $1 minimum bid properties. And sometimes these properties literally sell for $1. I mean, houses, lots, real estate of all different types. And now, granted, most of them will get bid up, but there have been those that have actually sold for just $1. Or maybe you'll find a house, and then it may be a dive. It may be a house that's fallen apart, but you still get a piece of land with that house. And if you pay $100 for it, it's pretty cool. There's also other ways to invest in real estate, not just buying rental property or buying property. But we had a guest on, and he talked about Ground Floor, which is a portal where you can go and invest in multiple properties, multiple projects, and the minimum bid amount is only $10. So you could get 50 different projects you could invest in with your $500. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So and again, you have certain degrees of risk involved, but it's a way to get involved and to become a real estate investor starting off. And I mentioned wholesaling. We have a ton of different really interesting podcasts on people that have started with absolutely nothing and been able to grow a huge business at a virtually nothing as a wholesaler. Then there's seller financing, and I talked about that briefly too, is where you have a buyer that you can go to and you can talk to that person. It's a seller you can go to and you can work with them to be able to finance you so you can get through the first part, get your property fixed up, and then you pay them off later as you've got boosted the equity. You've got the equity, and you refinance it, and so forth. Lease options, we've talked about that. When you get a property, offer to somebody that doesn't maybe doesn't qualify for a loan, a mortgage loan, but you can provide that property to them as as they sort of build up their credit and they get started, and boom, you've got this regular income coming in from the property, and it doesn't necessarily cost anything. It depends on how you obtain the property, but there are a lot of different ways that people are using lease options as well. Then you've got situations where you can get zero down loans. VA loans are sort of the best known, where you can buy a property with absolutely nothing down, or an FHA loan. Generally, it's like a 3.5%, but they do have 0% also. And there's hard money loans where you don't have to put anything down, and they will finance your property. And the idea is you've got the clock's ticking and you've got to get that property fixed up, and you refi it, with a conventional loan, and then you can get your money out of it, pay back your loan, and so forth. You can assume a loan. That's another way. You can get into a property without having to pay much or anything. And then there's, maybe it's just a matter of covering that down payment. You can get grants where you can get down payments covered by various organizations where you don't have to pay anything. You just get a grant to cover your down. So there are a lot of different potential things there. I would even add this one onto it, is you can take somebody to lunch. And this is something that I want to sort of close with here, is that, I do have a question I ask my guests every Monday. If you're a regular listener, you know what I'm talking about, where I say, hey, if you lost absolutely everything and you only had $1,000 in cash, knowing what you know today, what would you do with that $1,000 to rebuild your real estate investing business? And more often than not, the guests will come back to me and say, look, I don't even need the $1,000. Because all I would really need is maybe you could apply the money that you have there to a cell phone and a contract so you could call people, or it's just to call somebody up and set up a coffee meeting or a lunch meeting. And it's really about people when it comes down to it with a real estate investor, is that you get other people, okay, the OPM, as people call it, the other people's money, to provide the funding so that you can grow your real estate business. And more often than not, that's what a lot of these experienced investors say, is that, all I need is to just connect with some people that are looking for a good return. And I'll give them the good return by using my expertise to be able to take the money they give to me and return great benefits to them in terms of their interest and or doubling their money or whatever may happen with that. So the idea here is that the amount of money is not really the issue. It's really what you would do with not only the money, but with what you have, okay, and what your resources are. If you've got knowledge and you've got the information, it really isn't about the money. If you've got contacts, those are going to be more valuable to you. And you need to just be creative, and don't be discouraged by, I don't have enough money to get involved with real estate investing. That a lot of people are scared away by that. They're thinking, I need 20% down. They're going all the conventional methods, but it's the creative folks that are the ones that are the ones that are not only thriving, but they're sort of beyond surviving. At the beginning, they were surviving. They had to, there's some of the links that I'm going to provide here, and I got a lot of them, but, I share, one story about a young man who really, he had like $100 and he bought an ad on Craigslist that showed him, that led him to this property that he was able to do a contract with and to wholesale that home, where he made $6,000 or whatever. So there a lot of times it is just really being able to be creative, and don't get locked in this thing that sometimes it just takes too much. So hope you're going to enjoy this episode. I'd say really go and take a look at some of these links. There's some great, Brandon Turner was on talking about, buying properties with little or no money down. Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets, and some other folks that have, been there, done that, and share their experiences. So I'd recommend you go to the show notes and check it out. Well, that is it for today. I ran a little bit longer than I usually do on Fridays, but hey, sometimes that happens. But hey, I just wanted to just say thanks for listening, and all these links that I'm talking about that are supposed to be so cool. Okay, they are cool. So they'll be all accessible on our website at olddogsreinetwork.com/blog, and you're going to look for the episode on how to be a real estate investor for only $500. So until next time, remember, cash flow is king and real estate investing the means. Thanks again for listening, and may God bless.
Thank you very much for visiting the Old Dogs REI Network. We would greatly appreciate if you would stop by iTunes and let us know what you think of the show. We would love if you could subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and write a review. The more ratings and reviews we receive, the more visible the podcast will be to others. Thank you.